Thank you very much, Charles, and very interesting that update on the Getty case to kick us off. As you hinted, generative AI is one of the most pressing issues facing creators at the current time. The coalition of 22 trade bodies, unions, representative organisations within the creator space talk about little else, and that's because there are over 2 million jobs at risk as a result of generative AI. And what I will share with you this morning is how jobs are already being lost, which of course is profoundly important, not just to the individual professional, but for society as a whole. And creators are not against innovation, far from it. Early musicians played their music on conch shells. And then a few hundred years later, we had the lute. And now we've got streaming and Spotify and all kinds of developments in terms of the use of ambient music. As many of you will know, the creative industries is worth £125 billion per year, the equivalent of 5.7% of the UK GVA. It is a remarkable driver of growth, and it also provides us with levels of soft power, which we don't generate in any other way. So my focus this morning is the government's recent consultation on copyright and artificial intelligence, which resulted in 11,500 submissions being received from DCIT. The consultation closed on the 25th of February, and we are now waiting for the government's response. I know from the level of activity in our membership of 11,000 musicians that close on 300 of my members actually submitted responses. And given that normally you can't get them to respond to anything, that was really quite remarkable. The government's preferred option has been, although this is shifting around a bit at the moment, option 3, as set out in the consultation, which is a text and mining exemption. This would allow AI companies to use all musicians and indeed other creators' works to create competing works without asking for permission from creators, and in our view is completely unworkable in practice. Many musicians who don't normally talk about government policy have come out in absolute horror about option 3, so Paul McCartney and Elton John amongst them. Our preferred option is option 1, which would strengthen copyright, requiring licensing in all cases. It is the option that creators really prefer, and it would require developers to ask for permission to use people's music or works or photographs and to negotiate licensing deals and to be fairly paid for their work. At the moment, there is no transparency. Nobody knows what is happening to creators' works. That is why the creator sector is now becoming increasingly outspoken and mobilizing in a way that I don't think we've ever seen. What creators want is to be able to control how their work is used, to be paid fairly, to be able to negotiate licenses so that their work is used, but they are paid, for consumers to know when and how their work is being used, and for consumers to know that the work they are buying is actually human. So far, although we have had some engagement with DCMS, I think it's fair to say that creators haven't had a very high level of engagement with Peter Kyle, the Secretary of State, and that is not for want of trying. I have written to him requesting a meeting, and I know that many other creator organisations have done the same. He seems to be more comfortable talking to tech companies, fair enough, but you do actually need to talk to the creative industries, which is such a vital part of our economy. So just looking at what is going on within our sector at the moment, there is widespread parliamentary activity. Among those with first-hand experience of scraping, which is what companies like Meta do, Alison Hume, an MP in the Labour Party, who worked as a screenwriter before entering politics, told Parliament how subtitles for an episode of a TV show she had written called New Tricks had been scraped by an AI program, which is learning how to produce copycat scripts. She said, along with thousands of other films and TV shows, my work is being used by generative AI to write scripts, which one day may replace versions produced by mere humans like me. This is theft, and it's happening on an industrial scale. Baroness Kidron, who was just mentioned, is a crossbench peer and filmmaker who directed Bridget Jones' The Edge of Reason. And she has said that it will lead to a wholesale shift of wealth from Britain's creative industry to mainly US tech companies. They are trying to justify this by claiming that the law will lead to an AI boom, which will boost the economy and help government run better. But as she says, tell me which medical breakthrough is going to be helped by allowing corporates to steal an Ed Sheeran song, or how public services will get more efficient because a tech firm can rip off a fashion designer's work. It just doesn't make any sense. And on the 3rd of April, the Society of Authors demonstrated outside Meta HQ at King's Cross after millions of books were allegedly stolen to train Meta's AI. US court documents show that Meta has used one of the most notorious online shadow libraries as a quick and cheap way to exploit high quality large language models training data. And the authors are absolutely incensed. As they say, it can take over a year to write a book. High-profile authors like Kate Moss said, for writers who make their living by their hard work, originality, and imagination, this is another David and Goliath moment. Copyright exists. The terms and licensing provisions are robust, and the law is clear. This is theft on a large scale, and it must stop. At the same time, when the consultation closed, Ed Newton-Rex, who is both an AI former executive, but also a British composer, gathered together over 45,000 musicians who put their name to something called the Silent Album. And when you play it, all you hear is ambient noise. There is no music. And it's a warning to those of us as we move forward with AI. Is this what we really want? To take away the livelihoods of all of our creatives? In terms of research that all the creator organizations have been doing, DAX, who represents visual artists, has found that they have already lost work to AI, and 94% agree that they should be asked, credited, and compensated when their work is used to train AI systems. Photographers report clients turning to AI-generated images instead of commissioning human work. They say that they can no longer make a living and are being forced to seek income outside the photography industry. Illustrators have also experienced a sharp drop in commissions that directly coincides with the rise of AI image generation. Musicians are finding AI-generated tracks that mimic their voices, copy their styles, and flood streaming platforms with synthetic music under fake artist names. Some have found digital replicas of their voices uploaded without consent. Others have seen cloned vocals and instrumental mimicry displace real human work. There's no doubt that there is a place for AI within the various areas that we have already considered this morning. But generative AI is different. These systems produce creator outputs, such as songs, images, and stories that closely imitate human work, but do so by stealing vast amounts of existing works without permission or compensation. Now, we've already seen the likes of Elon Musk say that we should get rid of copyright protections altogether. But that is what the creative industries is based on, and indeed so many of our businesses. The creative industries needs the support of government. It is a vital part of our industrial base, and as I said, worth £125 billion. But it also brings joy to all of us. Do we really want to lose our favourite bands, our musicians, our authors and our poets, our photographers and our visual artists? Because this is where we are currently heading. The Labour government must not destroy the jobs of our creators at the behest of US tech companies. The current obsession at the heart of this government with US tech companies in our space, the creative space, and generative AI reminds me of the 1980s and what the Tories did to the mining industry. Once you have destroyed an industry, it's very difficult to bring it back. And I'm sure society did not vote for that. Thank you.